Yeah, Weibo, yeah, definitely get themselves the first pick right here. So, okay. A little bit flipped around. What do you ban out right here? Are we going to see the Nico taken off the board? Because the Nico is something I feel like we don't talk about too much, but everybody's been banning it recently. It's been hovering on the edges of being good, and for obvious reasons, right? That ulti, complete game changer, and it also just makes these laning phases so oppressive. The Rumble going to be banned away. Now, with the Jace off of the board, one good thing about picking the Jace, even if you don't then play it, is that you now don't have to worry about banning it.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see what this third ban is going to be. Another ban phase from our two coaches where they really are willing to leave jungle champ pools just wide open, right? It's just been the Malphite. They left Jace open last game, and with the Nico ban again for Weibo, the same one they did last time, you are now JunJia in the same spot you were last draft. So it's like, all right, do I want Xin? Do I want Wukong? Like, I don't really think there are super... well, yeah, this is why I should let you talk. I forgot Orianna was not banned.
Yeah, the Orianna was kind of always going to be the last remaining good pick right here. Now, the question is, does Xiaohu have a particularly good counter into this one? I'd be surprised if this Cassio is locked in right here. We haven't really been seeing it too much. Something more standard would be going towards the Syndra.
Yeah.
I mean, you just want some sort of control mage in the mid lane that you can just play a standard league with. The Taliyah could have also been potentially fun, but it is just going to be this Syndra. And now, as we've been saying, right, junglers have been left pretty wide open throughout this game. Do you want to go towards something aggressive like the Xin Zhao potentially?
I would be shocked if we don't get Xin Zhao in this game. Pantheon is intriguing next to the Syndra. It's a lot of now ability to cut for Jiejie, who I think, again, has done such a marvelous job controlling the map to be able to, you know, gank side lanes effectively. And it's a good pick looking at the Orianna already. But then JunJia's like, all right, I'll do the same thing and lock in the Nocturne, which can also terrorize the side lanes.
And that's an even better combo alongside this Orianna.
Totally.
You can just get that double ulti stack off and make it almost impossible for a Squishy to step up a little bit. It's going to make the life of Xiaohu pretty tough to try to play out. He's going to have to be very respectful of what it is that is going on. We've been talking about the Yunara all day, though, and this is the sort of team fighting composition where you can certainly play it. The Yunara really benefits from a line that isn't just drawn in the sand. When the team fight gets a little bit more mixed up, that's what you really like to see, and that's exactly what the Orianna and the Nocturne can provide. For Weibo, they're more about picks at the moment. They don't have that overall team fighting ability. They're very much single target damage. They can either fully focus in onto that if they want with this next pick, or broaden it out and allow themselves a bit of a different style of play.
So they're going to get Zika, a comfort champion in the Renekton, to try. That will bring back some of the team fight power, especially if things get a little bit more spread out than just that initial Orianna shockwave combo with the Nocturne. And as we get in the second ban phase, I'm gonna say now that I think into the Yunara, into the range the advantage you now have with the Syndra, I think if you're Tabe, a Felios ban might be worth it, and if you don't get that ban, I think Elk playing a Felios here looks pretty nice.
Yeah, exactly. You do want that little bit of extra range to be able to play this one out. You've got the beginnings of a really nice composition out of Weibo. They may struggle a little bit from the same thing we were talking about for JDG in the previous game, where you've got some fake tanks that can be pretty annoying to deal with, but you'll see how much you're really leaning into that. Of course, later on into the game, once Zika has that teleport upgraded, as you imagine he will have, the big shield helps. The ult's obviously very annoying to deal with, and anytime that JJ can just chuck the shield up, that can stop a lot of the big damage from coming on in. But if you fall behind, that doesn't really come through, and it can be very tricky to play. Honestly, it feels like both of these teams kind of need the early game to go in their favor at this point.
Love these Weibo bans, though, right? They're taking away comfortable matchups into Renekton. We lost the Scion from Fearless. We now have Cassante Gnar, which are the next two best. This is setting up Zika to have a very favorable top lane matchup. The only thing I can think of that may come through here, I wonder if Xiaoxu wants to go for a Jax, which he's very proficient in. That's the one thing I think is left back up, as I'm curious to see if Elk wants to go for the Aphelios. There are a multitude of options, though.
Yeah, I feel like for JDG, you don't necessarily
He is a Jhin
want
player,
to
too.
be kind of squishy. Yeah, the Jhin could also work. That's that extra level of range that can be really good. You don't have to worry so much about your front line jumping away from you because, hey, you're far away, pumping in the damage anyway. That being said, the laning phase can be potentially a little bit risky depending on what you pair it up with, and Weibo clearly don't actually have an answer now either. They're going to take themselves the Lulu right now. The Lulu will stop a lot of what could be big aggression
like
coming
this.
through from JDG. It especially is good into the Nocturne. Comes flying in,
Yeah.
Polymorph, no.
Yep. I think that is a really genius pick. I also think Erha has been able. Most of our supports have been pretty decent on the on Lulu in particular, but I think Erha has had some good shifts on the Enchanter duty. So that might be a pretty big pick. Also signals that we might just get Elk on a Sivir, I think.
Yeah, that could well potentially happen.
Don't see a lot of Ornn anymore. Xiaoxu
I really like the Ornn.
Okay.
I'm very, very happy. I was thinking maybe something more like the... Oh, I was going to say Cassante, but that one was also taken off the board. So yeah, in terms of just tanks that you needed available to you, there was really nothing left. And I didn't like the idea of JDG going towards something aggressive. I think you then really do suffer from just having too many squishies. You need an actual frontliner right here. And more than that, the Ornn is going to provide you that non-committal engage to start off a team fight, make it that much easier to then get that combo between the Orianna and the Nocturne going. We've talked about a lot of different potential options right here down into the bottom side. I feel like the Sivir kind of made the most sense overall. Looks like they're going to potentially go a completely different direction.
No, they're not.
Good.
Yeah, it's gonna be the Sivir. Yeah, I think a lot of the fun flair that Elk could have gone for kind of got taken away, unfortunately, once you locked in the Lulu. But this is this very potent. This is interesting because I think both teams have skirmish based top sides in jungle mostly, but then the scaling of their mid and AD are pretty matched. Also, I want to take a quick second, Bloxxer, to say on the airwaves, as one of the people that really, I would say, was pretty scrutinized Vampire a lot of the time, I have to give him his flowers. His Bard was so sus last year. And the Bard game he played, Game 3 against BLG, was... you could have taken nameplates off, and I would have guessed a support that starts with the letter K. 2 different ones before I thought it was Vampire playing the way he was able to play.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, really impressive from him. And I think that overall, this JDG composition, it works really well for me. You've got that big combo. You've got just some front-to-back team fighting if you want it like that. They are going to have to be very careful to not over-aggress and get caught out by that polymorph. The polymorph right here for Erha feels like the counter to a lot of what it is that JDG want to do.
I love where support is at right now in Season 16 because... we always need, I feel like we need engaged supports, tank supports to take like the center stage, but it was a little boring when no enchanters could really find their way in.
Yes.
Now that we have spots where you could get a Lulu in, you could look for Seraphine angles, and then we still have occasional Renata looks. Support champ pool is really healthy. Let's see if JDG can turn around their health in this matchup. As Weibo are one win away from clean 4-0 sweeping JDG. Jaios are loud, and we love that here in the LPL. Hopefully they can help out JDG as we are into our laning phase. And we can see both junglers are going to be pathing opposite each other. So that's something to keep in mind with how much... I would say they both rely on ultimates, but Pantheon can definitely have an early look.
Yeah, Pantheon certainly can. He's also just going to clear that a little bit slower than you are going to see this Nocturne sprinting on through the jungle. And like you said, level 6s are going to be really impactful. With 2 junglers with these global ultis available, that's going to be something to really think about once we hit those level 6s, where you're trying to use that. The bot lane obviously looks potentially squishy and inviting. Mid lane too. You'd have to imagine top lane going to be less of a full focus for these junglers, but still, in the individual 1v1 matchup, can potentially be exciting.
Classic mid lane matchup where if we're able to get flashes out early from either of these guys, should be punished immediately. We'll have to track that as things do go on, but for the time being, Weibo, with the power of Sivir push and those bouncing boomerangs, how annoying they can be, can easily cut through the wave, and actually Elk gets a really good trade in the Gala on top of that. This Weibo bottom lane has good push, and the Ornn matchup is still tough into the Renekton, so Jiejie has a lot of room to look for things like this. Pantheon flash, immediate stun into the Scout of the Week. Oh, that is artistry of League of Legends right there from Jiejie and Xiaohu.
Slayer, you're a wizard, you see the future, and just know that it's going to be the early aggression out of Jiejie, and I love to see it. We see far too many junglers at the moment just sprinting on through their junglers, worrying way too much about hitting their level 6, especially on these global level 6 champions. But Jiejie, he recognizes a really good spot to be able to punish there onto HongQ, and this could have wide-ranging implications as well. I'm pretty sure HongQ used that flash during the play, so he's now vulnerable to being repeat ganked again anytime he steps away from his tower.
Got Xiaohu on the right path forward. Still, despite how well he's been able to play later on in games. Yeah, no, HongQ didn't get the flash. I mean, he was.
I thought he just about got it off at the end, but no, he just insta-died. Holy.
Yeah, insta-died. Xiaohu, you know, he's still one of the weaker laners of Group Ascent, so to get him that early kill is very helpful. But JunJia is looking to return the favor here. That's the full combo out of Xiaohu. He does proc the phase rush, and that's enough to get him to speed boost away from that Nocturne Q. So Xiaohu holding his own.
Yeah. Also knows that he has got the support of Jiejie up on the top scuttle crab, so not going to be too worried about that. And that early little bit of gold into the back pocket of Jiejie is going to turn into a good item lead for him going on to the next couple of minutes. Could be impactful for the next Drake coming up in a minute and a half. This skirmishing out of Weibo is going to be one of their main strengths during the early game.
See if they can pair that into a look onto Grubs or one of those first dragons, because we still talk about how scaling in the mid lane, scaling in the bottom lane. So it's on the jungler's onus to really forge a lead of their own. I don't know, the more I look at this map state, the more I just feel like it's going to be really tough for JunJia to get a lot going. I guess until he gets his ultimate, right? So he will be able to pick this up pretty soon through his next clear, and that will maybe alleviate some of this pressure, because all these lane states are pretty decently rough for JDG.
I mean, you can see it right here. Most of the waves are just getting pushed forwards quite far. It makes it quite hard to be able to get those ganks off. As you said, once that level 6 paranoia comes on through, it's going to be that little bit easier. But again, you usually want to be in control of the early game as a Nocturne. Falling behind on this champion, you basically become a glorified light switch. Useful enough to your team. It is good when your opponents can't see, but you can be so much more than that with just that little bit of gold in the early game.
I'm gonna start using that more. I'm taking that from you, Bloxxer. Glorified light switch for Nocturnes. That is a great way to put it.
He is.
Yeah. It's perfectly what he turns into. Hey, listen, let's see if he gets level 6 off this Gromp, because this is where we can finally try to punish Elk and Erha, who have been very pushed up. Nope, doesn't grab it just yet. I believe he can get it on the next Scuttle Crab rotation. Yes. He is level 5 still looking here. Elk is going to cleanse the Q, which means he is susceptible to get feared. Polymorph comes down, and that'll be enough there.
Yeah, I mean, you do get just that little bit out. The heal out of Erha is going to go down, but Gala, in true ADC fashion, is just going to keep hitting his minion wave. It's in a perfect spot for him right here. He doesn't want it pushing away from him at the moment. So instead, things are just going to calm down. Jiejie now looking towards mid lane again.
Oh, he's got his jungler nearby. Flash out of both mids. Shockwave is still going to land. JunJia here. JJ going to cover. He can put up the Unbreakable. He's going to wait for the fear to come out. Unleash power from Xiaohu. JJ very low, but with Shockwave already out, there shouldn't be a kill threat here, but it has been all about the mid lane for all these early skirmishes.
And that's going to be both of the flashes and both of the ultimates used right at the point at which you've got that first Drake on the board. It's also going to be an Infernal Drake, always that extra little bit of incentive for teams to go and grab this one. Everybody likes dealing their bit of extra damage. So we'll see if that is going to be impactful in the next couple of minutes. For right now, though, the fact you're able to just at least get away from that gank does slow things down. And JunJia has hit that level 6 when JJ hasn't. So you do have a small window right here to go and try and make something happen. You could potentially look top lane right now. I mean, Zika is very pushed up. Maybe Xiaohu going to be the focus instead.
Oh, he waits for him to use all of his cooldowns. Really smart timing there from JunJia, and he's going to earn the kill. Xiaohu tried to clear out the wave, but there's the first really good paranoia that JDG needed.
And not having that flash made it nigh on impossible to be able to get away from that play. I didn't know that that was necessarily going to be where they went because HongQ wasn't there, but with all of the spell rotations out trying to clear the wave, like you said, there was nothing that could be done for Xiaohu. He's just going to have to teleport back into the mid lane. Neither of the mid laners have any summoners, so that's going to keep them as juicy targets going forward.
A lot of push, though, coming out of this bottom lane. Elk is up Now he's going to be at least a wave and a half, I think, and they can immediately parry that in with the TP from Xiaohu and Jiejie nearby towards this first Drake. So good little response again. The thing that I've been so impressed with from Weibo in this series is JDG are going to get their good looks. They're going to get some kills, but Weibo have always found somewhat of an answer on the back end of it, as the Dragon will go over for Jiejie. There's no paranoia up. JDG are still going to look to fight here. There's the stun, grabs onto Jiejie, and he's going to have to pay the price for that Dragon. Portal over, which Gala transcended. He's looking to chase down Erha. Good dodge of the Arc of Ruin. And we are just making sure nobody can get away with plays without paying a price.
Yeah, there's always going to be some price to pay in this situation, and JDG, they knew that they could not fully go for this Drake, but the collapse came on through. The reset times were just a little bit off for them to have been able to actually compete for the Dragon, so Weibo do get that first objective for themselves. They're going to have resets coming on through as well, spend their gold, and come back out onto the map at the point at which the grubs are available. Down to HongQ.
Well, here's how you come out back onto the map in style.
Yeah.
Jiejie, Grand Starfall, and both mid laners without flash have effectively been punished now.
Yes, and this is great to see, the fact that these junglers are looking mid lane and then looking mid lane again. They're not allowing these flash times to just come back up again. This is also going to immediately unlock these grubs, as we were talking about. The extra kill gold going to be helpful as well. And this is really nice to see. You don't necessarily have the strongest of split pushing compositions. The Renekton's good on the side lane, but nothing else is really going to be pushing its way through there. But at the point at which you are actually hitting towers with this composition, you're now going to be able to shred through them that much easier.
Oh, here comes the Ornhorn, though. Xiaoxu
is
going to sacrifice himself for the grubs. You know what? That is a selfless play out of the out of one of the captains of Weibo.
You are dead either way. Just go and pick yourself up that grub. I mean, there's no reason to not grab it. That is now going to be the grubs and that first Drake picked up by Weibo. They are giving a couple of guilds over.
Zika, he's like, all right, you used your Ornhorn already, buddy. You don't have as much peel. Xiaoxu, though, is just tanky enough, and Zika's not strong enough without a first item to make that kill happen. And I do want to praise Xiaoxu for a second. He's actually up gold into a matchup that I thought was rough. Please don't tell me I cast a curse at him. Please.
He's okay in this situation. He doesn't need to be super worried. He's already got that Bramble Vest unlocked, so that's just a lot of the healing that Zika's doing.
Oh no, Erha recall on a ward, so Gala pulls the trigger. Arc of Ruin. Oh, thank God the spell shield was up. We've seen a lot of good punishes for recalling on wards this series, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean, at this point, for both of these teams, you need to be sweeping every single time you go for a reset. Otherwise, just walk back to base. It's costing teams dearly. At least you do get away from that one. And Elk actually holding onto the flash. He knew he had himself that spell shield to be able to walk it on out. And you do lose out onto the ulti for Gala. Not that there's really anything coming up in the next minute and a half or so. So you should have that one back up for the next fight.
Paranoia up and available for JunJia. He is nearby enough to look for this. Pink ward clear coming out from Xiaohu. But okay, he's just going to torment him. No, you don't get Scuttle Crab. At least not for now.
I'm just pulling it back away. Oh, it's one of the funniest interactions to watch.
So funny.
Especially when you steal away like a blue buff or something and the jungler's like, come on. Why? It's going to take me 30 extra seconds. Gala, again, stepping up. Ooh. If you had the ulti in that situation as Gala, you can play that way more aggressively, but obviously he doesn't have that Transcend Self, so he needs to play a little bit further back. Did obviously have his support walking on down towards him.
Yeah, and Paranoia was 10 seconds out, and now just comes up. The Shockwave really well timed there from HongQ. There was no way for JunJia to even react to it. The timing of that cast, perfect. And JunJia has the third kill of the game. Our junglers with nearly every single kill through the early game.
And this is what we want to see out of the Nocturne. We were talking earlier about how falling behind on this champion makes it feel miserable to play out the rest of the game. Well, JunJia has taken that as a challenge and is already working his way on through. I really like that. Experimental Hexplate in inventory too, so he's going to be getting these ultis as often as possible. And it's just so good to see it paired up alongside that Orianna ulti. The Shockwave Paranoia combo is a combo we saw a lot of last split, and if you can use it effectively, it just makes it impossible for somebody from Weibo to step out without the rest of their team.
Going to make itemization thoughts very intriguing as well. I wonder when Xiaohu is going to prioritize his Zhonya's or even try to get the Seekers early, because he is prime target #1 for that combo. Elk obviously too, but the spell shield makes things tricky, and the fact that Erha will always be there to polymorph wild growth, likely the Sivir. So I want to see how Xiaohu evolves his items here. Is Erha, speaking of, is doing this classic thing we see from our support sometimes where they position for wards like they're playing a tank Nautilus when they're playing a squishy Lulu. So good to see he wasn't punished at that point for it.
Absolutely. And this game feels very flipped from what we saw previously. JunJia might need to be careful. He does have support backing him up in this situation. Potentially looking to steal away the red buff. Not going to happen. Jiejie is going to be able to grab this one up. And despite all of the kills, despite the difference in grabbing these objectives, the gold dead even at this point in the game.
Okay, Xiaohu's starting to learn to respect the fact that he has been the target of the Nocturne constantly. He really wanted that cannon without using the Sky of the Week, but he has to use it to pick it up, and JunJia won't be able to pounce on him for the third time. Despite how different this game does feel, Bloxxer, I do agree with you. We are reaching a crossroad that is very eerily similar of Game 1. For the second Drake up for Weibo. Oh, hold on, here we go. Shockwave Paranoia,
boy.
It's way too easy. Elk, no way to react, and now the fear's going to come down. JJ's going to re-engage here with the Starfall. Oh my god, Erha, does he actually get out of this?
No way.
The Q, the Arc of Ruin, it has to be Gala flashing forward to find it, but he does pick up the double kill. Huge gold influx back over to the Pentakill Prince.
And that's going to be turning straight back around for JDG, grabbing themselves their first Drake of the game. You had everybody moving down towards the bottom side for the Drake anyway, but Weibo, they don't respect how snappy this engage is out of JunJia and HongQ. They've now landed that combo instantly twice, and I think the thing that's most impressive about that is the fact that they get it off before Erha has even a chance to pop the ulti.
Yep, and even through Erha's flash, the heal. Ooh, I'd love to see a heart rate monitor on Gala right about then. All right, let's get a look at, again, these are so clean. HongQ's timing of the Shockwave has been as perfect as you can make it.
And it's especially good right here with the point at which JunJia hits that paranoia. He hits it just at the last second so that Erha has no chance of being able to be close enough to land any of his spells. He can't see his friend to be able to put anything onto Elk, but at the same time, it's just quickly enough that HongQ's able to just slam everything on through and land that full combo with the ulti. Really well executed out of JDG. If they could just keep running this back again and again and again, not necessarily in team fights where the Nocturne usually gets turned and burned, but on these picks, that's a brilliant plan to make the rest of this game a lot easier.
Okay. We do have the Herald up in about 15 seconds here. Very eerily similar of Game 1, where JDG have found themselves a slight edge heading into the mid-game. Most of it being on Gala as he picks up that double kill, and JunJia obviously 3-0-3 on this Nocturne. But as you pointed out, there is going to be a point where the effectiveness of this Nocturne will lose a lot of its allure. So I really want to see them still looking for Shockwave after Shockwave, and right on cue.
Oh my
Lord. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
What do you do in this situation as Weibo? Yeah, this combo has always been strong, but you usually don't expect that it's going to deal your entire health bar. The Ludens, though, on HongQ, just ripping through people, and that's going to be even more annoying during these big team fights if you hit yourself a big shockwave. And I love the timing on which JDG are doing this. Every time there's an objective up, they go and assassinate the champion nearby. Gala, holy!
Walk him down? Oh my lord, the Transcendent form now with that Kraken Slayer completed is nothing to be scoffed at, and Gala takes it on himself to zone all of Weibo away from a Herald secured by his teammate.
This is a JDG who have had a fire lit under them by repeated losses to Weibo. They do not want to get 2-0'd once again. Having that happen to them, having that happen to their game score will be devastating when competing for those top 4 spots in Group Ascent. So they have to turn it on right now, and so far, so good. We will have to keep revisiting though. JunJia will fall off. The thing is, I feel like he's done a brilliant job so far of building the bridge between when he is strong and when the rest of these champions come online. For Xiaohu, for HongQ, and for Gala, 2 to 3 items is the point at which they are just so strong in this game. For HongQ and Gala, they're well on their way.
Yeah, it's so funny how we talk about the Nocturne Orianna combo as like a one-shot. Right now, oh my god, do it again. Yeah, why not? See you later, Elk. Oh, and even turn the turret off.
Turn the tower off.
Even if that didn't one-shot Elk, like he didn't have anywhere to hide. This is just rinse and repeat from JDG. Weibo have no answer.
In solo queue, you have typed FF15. You've probably already FF'd this game. This is so miserable to play into. Now Zika gonna be jumped underneath this tower.
Yeah, he's going to pop Dominus. I mean, JDG, it feels like they're playing 6-on-5 right now, the way they're all over the map.
every single time Weibo tries to step up to the tower, they just get taken
yeah.
out. The drifting.
No!
Oh no!
I think
Driver's license will be removed from JunJia. Yeah, you're still going to be able to get yourself this tower, not the end of the world. And on the cross map, Xiaohu going to be able to grab himself a couple of turret plates over on the top side, but he can't stick around for too long because you're only 30 or so seconds away from that paranoia coming back up, and you could do it all over again.
Yeah, and well, you know, back to the point of, yeah, we are just really testing the limit of our recall spacing in this game too. But the funny thing about the one-shot potential you're touching on with the scaling, right now JunJia's really a lot of the damage. Why this combo one-shots? But as you pointed out, full damage Orianna. Even JunJia's damage is going to tick down, but then the Orianna's will tick back up. So the one-shot's really just always going to be there.
Absolutely, and think about the kind of compositions and the kind of team fights where a Yunara really pops off. They're messy, they're a little bit split, and you get to just buy space for the Yunara to transcend self and run straight through a team fight. That is exactly what this Nocturne Orianna combo is going to be providing, let alone the fact you've then got the Ornn and the Bard to be able to buy that space too. I really like what JDG put together for themselves, and if they keep executing it to this high of a level, there's very little that Weibo can actually do to fight back, especially because their early game jungler in the Pantheon has just not gotten anything done.
Yeah, the hope now for Weibo is that they are going to be able to be at least competitive enough in gold where when they stack up as 5 and there isn't a clear target to just one-shot without punishment, they can still fight back. And they do have scaling Syndra, who's got a lot of gold. Xiaohu's the only member for Weibo that is actually up in gold right now, despite everything. And Sivir does really outpace a Yunara, I would say, in a game state. So they will be able to compete, but the timer is really ticking for them, especially now that JDG can take whatever they want on the map for at least the next couple of minutes, right now being this third Drake of the game.
Do you want to go and fully compete for this one? It's not actually going to be sole point for Weibo. Maybe sitting back and just buying a little bit of extra time is going to be that much more effective. At the same time, do you believe that that Nocturne Orianna combo is going to be as effective when you are all grouped up? You've got more opportunity for Erha to be able to stop that one then in its tracks, potentially. You've also then got Zika around to just be tankier. Scatter the Weak as well, another potential option for pushing people away and just buying that little bit of breathing space. Oh, no. I just worry for the longevity of some of these champions.
Oh, all right. Well, that's why he bought the Om Guard, but he's still going to end up dying here. Unleash Power Scatter the Weak. Hold on. Xiaohu's going to actually outplay. Great Starfall comes across. The Temper Fate is late. HongQ's going to go down here. Jiejie to the rescue. Xiaoxu's the first one to TP back in, though. Call of the Horn will come back out. But now Elk has arrived. All of Weibo's here, and they're on the hunt for more kills. It's the portal out from Vampire to save it. But finally, Weibo have watched the Nocturne Orianna combo not succeed.
We thought that Zhonya right there was going to be enough to just buy a bit of time, and then you get killed anyway. No, it's enough to fully buy time for Weibo to get their members up. The Seeker's doing everything you could possibly have asked for in that situation. Was around the Baron, but not really, and the point to go for it right now for Weibo. Still, the fact they're able to, at some point, stop that combo from being effective is critical. This could well be the turning point in this game. Yeah,
it's the classic basketball ideology that to turn around a bad night shooting from the outside is just to watch the ball go in the hoop, right? Like actually visualize it. So now Weibo, it's kind of the same concept. They've effectively visualized what it looks like to outplay that combination, and I got to give credit over to the Spring Tiger himself here, the birthday boy. It does kind of suck for his build path that he has to go Seekers there, and now he has to rush the Zhonyas, but the value to just not be able to get one-tapped is immeasurable.
You know how much damage you do when you're dead? It's done. And he has died a lot so far in this game from that specific combo, so it is good to have that available. And also, it's just good to be able to get yourself out of a couple of different combos at JDG. It's not just that Nocturne Orianna that is going to be particularly interesting. But I'd also like to mention, during that previous fight, the HongQ flashed out of Vampire's ulti. I'm not sure that it would have saved him, but it's just a little bit of anti-synergy that was quite funny.
Yeah, it was close, right? And Vampire, again, want to point out that he had a phenomenal Bard game against BLG in a similar spot, right? To lose the series, it was game 3. Obviously, to also win the series, but this is a Bard game in a big spot nonetheless. For now, though, we see JDG starting to overload onto this top side. Zika wants to protect this tier 1 turret, and boy, is he... I mean, I thought he was going to be a lot more punished for it. They're going to let him walk out and just take the turret as 4 strong.
As JDG there, you know you've got quite a few members of Weibo in the area, and you've just got turned on. You don't want to have that happen again right around Baron, at the point at which Weibo probably could go and pick that one up. For now, they're going to be happy with just taking that tower, establishing themselves a little bit of control topside. They've already got bot lane tower down as well. So they're in a good spot overall, monetarily 3.4k ahead. As you said, a lot of that put across a few different members. JunJia and Gala is where the big gold lead is.
Yeah, and I want to take a look at some of these items for both sides or two things Bloxxer I'm going to point out very quickly. First of all, Ornn, level 15. We have upgraded Ludens and Stridebreaker, so the gold lead is actually bigger for JDG and raw stats. But for Weibo, Xiaohu has completed the Zanyas before he can be punished for the Seekers being broken. So now it is going to be a much more sticky situation to decide when can we go for that automatic, now in quotation marks, Nocturne Orianna combo.
And the fact that Elk as well is just a few more gold away from being able to get himself onto that 3 items, that's the point at which the Sivir really begins to pop off, and you really need the Sivir to be dealing the damage. Earlier on in the draft, it looked like they were going to go for a more single target focus. They spread the love a little bit more with that Renekton and with that Sivir pick, but you need the Sivir to be able to do the damage. Gala's fine.
Okay, but I mean, it's been the tale of recalling on wards all series long.
You gotta stop it.
Yeah, we have to stop it. I mean, it did ruin that game 1 for JDG, but it does take a lot of interesting ults off the board. As this Hextech Drake comes up, I don't think even the Hexplate Paranoia will be available.
No, I mean, that's going to be a big combo just gone.
Xiaoxu going to have to dash back towards his turrets, but JDG do a good job to defend the tier 1. Inside track towards the pit, though, is going to be Weibo's. Zika holding strong. We'll be able to clear out the vision. The Scuttlecraft vision is very valuable, but JDG, could be a pretty tough ask to walk into this pit. Elk, though, is chunked down very, very low without the shockwave even having to be used.
Don't know that you can even step up in this situation's way, but with Elk as low as he is, fighting this one is going to be incredibly risky. And yet, Weibo, once again, they're going to show restraint around a dragon and give this one up. That does give Soul point over to JDG as well. Still, they're going to be able to go take full resets and head towards the top side of the map and start setting up around this objective. The Baron now going to be the big focus for both of these teams.
Well, don't we now have a clear climax to this game? It's undoubtedly going to be this next dragon in 5 minutes. Weibo have to respond to it at that point. What can they get done in the time, though? Well, right now it's going to be the Shockwave Orianna combo onto Zika. He pops the Dominus, gets the Sterak's shield, but the fear autos from JunJia should be enough to even get down the big bad Croc.
Yeah, and the fact that that combo still works versus Zika, even through his Sterak's in that situation, is massive. That means you've not really got a single truly tanky member. Again, not having actually tanky champions can really hurt you in games like this. As much as the Renekton can try to be a bit of a pseudo-tank, you're still not going to be strong enough in this individual 1 versus 2 situation, and you just need members on the side lanes at the moment. This is constant side lane pressure that JDG are able to push through, because anybody that goes to the side lane is constantly terrified of being jumped by JunJia and HongQ. Yeah,
and what is really interesting about the Renekton pick into what you're talking about is they saw Nocturne Orianna before Zika's Champion Select came across, and then they banned Cassante. I mean, we'll see if Zika does have the ability to be really effective in more 5v5 team fights, but like you talked about, if this is a Cassante, JDG can never look for an angle like that onto the enemy top lane.
Absolutely not. And having the Ornn on your side as well allows you to have that properly tanky member over on the sidelines. As you highlighted, right, handing out those ornaments too. You've now got the upgrade as well coming through onto the Feed Hunter bolts, so that's going to be a huge injection onto Gala. I kind of agree. I think the big ulti at this point is the point where you're pumping the most damage right here.
Yeah, that is right into the wheelhouse of the Sunara. JDG doing a really good job blocking out all the vision onto this top river near the Baron for Weibo, and now if they play a pretty tough guessing game, walk their way up. Oh, there's the Shockwave combo, but the Unbreakable comes across here from Jiejie. He does have to flash, but now I don't think JDG can really afford to stick around or even threaten a Baron. They've lost their prize combo for now.
As of right now, JDG are very much one-trick ponies. They haven't shown us that they can play a different style of game, and the fact they have to back off so far is going to cost them this mid lane tower as well. You see huge build-up of the crystals means this one will just fall, and that unlocks this mid lane so much for Weibo. They're beginning to claw their way back into this game. You've got so close to 3 items completed onto Elk, so close to 3 items completed onto Xiaohu as well. Once you have that, you're going to be in a good spot to turn this game around potentially.
they're really looking to try and pounce on somebody while that one trick combo, as you pointed out, is down. But I will say, that experimental hex plate, the paranoia is back and available already. And Zika, I was going to say, could be the threat. There's no shockwave for the big damage, but with the speed up, JunJia will be able to get the fear down. Can Xiaoxu start to stack any of the CC as HongQ has joined the fray? Should be enough with the shockwave, and Zika should be just picked off on this side. Another overextension from the Weibo top laner.
You say overextension, and it is into this composition, but it's very unique to this specific comp. Usually, stepping up to that far in that lane is absolutely fine for a Renekton. They really don't have any side lane pressure whatsoever, and it's making setting up around these objectives even harder. Even trying to establish mid lane control when you're constantly having to send an extra person bot lane is just so frustrating for them to have happen. Still, you didn't blow anything in that situation, as Zika knew that he was going to die. We'll have everything up for this critical Hextech Drake coming up in 1 minute and 30 seconds time.
Let's see if... Okay, so we have the LDR done for Elk. He has 3 items. He can front to back decently effective. Oh, there's the shockwave combo. They're going after... Oh! And boy, does he get blown up as that Enchanter. They get the Ornhorn knock him as well into Jiejie. He does have the GA completed, though. And he won't end up falling here. But the combo getting rid of Erha... Does this give JDG enough prowess to go for the Baron? No, I still think if they don't have this combo, they don't feel comfortable forcing a fight in an objective.
Their team composition right now is this combo, but not for long. You've got those items completed onto a couple of key members for JDG. I think you can now look for more of these just straight up front to back kind of team fights. Allow Gala to unlock. He's barely had to do anything in this game. He's been the beneficiary of a couple of kills, but he hasn't had to be that guy yet. Now going to complete that shield bow, so he's got that extra level of survivability involved as well. 4 items. Going to be a terrifying look if Gala's ever needed to deal damage.
What a bounce back for this marksman matchup coming out of Gala. He is 2 levels up, and as you mentioned, a full item virtually up as well, in position to get back onto Elk for that good Misfortune performance as the shockwave's up, and they do go after Elk. He tries to flash. He does get the wild growth this time. How did JDG look without the shockwave? Temper Fate onto the background of 2. Gala trying to flank in. He's going to TP. Gala's going to transcend and cleanse away the Scatter the Weak. Gala is ripping this fight from back to front, all on his own. The TP from Zika was too late, and the Pantheon will fall next. Finally, JDG break open a traditional team fight, and they'll wipe down Weibo with a nearly clean ace.
I love the way that they're able to play that one out. As we were talking about, right, Gala is in a spot to completely take over, and take over he does. They're going to be able to pick themselves up this Hextech Soul on the way up towards the Baron. And there's very little that Weibo are going to be able to do. 20, 30 seconds on some of these death timers. With the extra level that you get in top lane, the respawn timer for Zika's so long, 40 seconds on him.
This should be Hextech Soul and Baron. A nice 2-piece combo on the objectives, and finally, it feels like JDG will find the last team they don't have a win over, and this team fight might have sealed it.
Absolutely. You can watch this combo coming on through, but it's not the main point right here. It's what you're actually able to do as Gala, and he just comes around the sides into the people coming out of stasis instantly. He just pops Xiaohu. I mean, you're flashing forwards into the face of a Sindra right here as Gala, and it just doesn't matter. Gets polymorphed, it doesn't matter. I love the aggression that he plays with, because he is able to. The rest of the team is being kept on the front line.
Everything lining up for JDG to bring this series to 3 here. Gold lead is outstanding. They've got the Baron. And now they can really punish anyone from Weibo that goes a little bit too far away, honestly, from their base, trying to clear out some of these waves. And what really rubs salt in the wound is just how many summoners were used for some of these carries to try and survive, mainly Elk, to try and live through that combo.
Yeah.
Now he is a sitting duck.
0-3-0 just has not been able to get involved in this game at all. Close to being able to pick himself up the eye edge next, but is that really even going to matter too much in this game?
Probably
not particularly sure at this point. Still, with these Baron empowered minions coming on in, it's still not very easy to be able to take down towers in the face of Elk. The Sivir always going to give you a ton of wave clear, which is nice, but I mean, Gala steps up and auto attacks him once.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that wasn't even the Fiend Hunter bolts.
Nope.
Nope.
That's a straight up murk.
That was a straight-up crit auto. All right. Oh, my God. Xiaohu's looking for Gala, though. It's a trend set dash away. The Temper Fate is going to grab onto Gala, but in the background, JunJia has executed Elk as they dive under the
Gala
turret.
wins this.
Gala, positioning-wise, once again, premier in the LPL. The General thought he had an angle to knock down the big bad Gala, but instead he lives, and JDG turned into an ace, and their first win over Weibo to force us to a do-or-die Game 3.
JDG, it looked good from the start, and they never let it go. Nocturne, Orianna, the combo of dreams in this game. And Weibo, they just never got a foothold in this one. We get a game number 3, Slayer. Let's go.
It was a rough loss in Game 1 that could really spiral a lot of teams. But shout out Coach Tabe for living by a pretty well-known rule. Let's just keep it simple. Nothing more simple than Orianna Nocturne, and well, yeah, congrats. They've now finally gotten a game off of every single team in Group of Set.
They have indeed, and that does wonders for the standings. Even if they were to lose this game versus Weibo would leapfrog them, but it just gives you that extra win in hand that allows you to push yourself beyond some of these other teams that have been losing 0-2. Really, really important not to get 2-0'd at the moment. And what a game that was. I mean, we can look at what Weibo drafted and say, hey, you really needed to get more out of Jiejie, get the pace going a little bit faster. You've got yourself the Lulu and the Sivir, which you're expecting to need a lot of time to get going. But it really isn't very much about what Weibo had versus what JDG had, and they just couldn't deal with.
Yeah, they put them in such a tough corner where they really had to kind of like give up a lot of the map to buy time for scaling champions, but it got to the point where they couldn't give away everything, obviously, right? Like, they were going to have to compete for a Hextech Drake at one point. They lost a lot of space on the map. Again, there's been 2 games where JDG, like, through the first 20 minutes, like, dominate the turret game, and that buys even more space for those picks to be found, and I don't know, I mean, like, how many kills do we think were found on that pick alone? 8 or 9? Almost 10 from that combo?
Most of them. Really, most of them. They got more kills with that combo than they did in their first series versus Weibo. It was really impressive to see. But also, you've got to look at what it was that Weibo were doing and question how they never managed to adapt their playstyle. They kept sending a person alone over on into a side lane, and they kept getting killed. Every time, again and again. I mean, you saw Zika do it time and time again. We just highlighted how well he'd been able to play into JDG. And yeah, he doesn't get moved around by Xiaoxu. I mean, you don't expect him to in the order matchup, but it doesn't matter if you're constantly getting taken out by that combo. And you highlighted it really well with the transition period that we saw from JDG, where it was JunJia doing the big damage on the combo, to HongQ doing the big damage on the combo, and it never felt like it dropped off at all. It just kept getting more and more. There was never a point at which you felt like, this Nocturne not useful to this game. Very rare to say that about a Nocturne in competitive.
Yeah, and another way that going for Nocturne Orianna, specifically into Weibo, was so valuable. Who have we talked about as like the premier performer for Weibo? It's been Elk. And, you know, I think the Sivir is quiet because it's so hard to make this champion work into a composition like that. I don't really think there was an Elk champion that really would have worked into this. It's like this is a classic conundrum for an AD carry player where a Nocturne and Orianna get fed early. It's like you don't really get to play the game anymore if they dictate correctly. So, but to credit to JDG, right? It's like, okay, Elk has been playing out of his mind for Weibo consistently. Let's play a style of game where we can effectively eliminate him to the best of our ability. And I mean, look at that. Elk doesn't even get into 10k damage this game.
Oh yeah, looking at a Sivir not managing to do 10,000 damage, and this is not an OPL gold draft. It just keeps getting better and better for JDG. They make this composition work beautifully, and I really do love getting to see that synergy between JunJia and HongQ. It was the combo that we were kind of expecting to be the big part of this team. As much as Gala has been fun, as much as you're expecting good things out of Vampire, and I think Vampire played a sneaky, really good game, actually. He was hitting quite a lot of big tempo fates that were making things happen for his team. It really was just about this combo in the jungle. My question about it is, can you replicate this? Is there another combo between the mid-jungle that's as strong? You've kind of lost all of your big map mobile junglers, and you've kind of lost a lot of your big wombo combo mid laners too.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that our jungle matchup for Game 3 is Wukong's and Zhao. It's probably what we're going to get.
The fact it's not picked yet is crazy.
Yeah, that's true. The more I think about this, maybe you know what? I'm not going to apologize for glazing Tabe of all people.
Okay.
What I was trying to think, why did Nocturne Orianna fall off a lot last year? Part of it was probably like Nocturne value went down, but I think I figured it out, Bloxxer. This year, Xayah is not a prevalent AD carry in the meta, and Xayah is like the immediate counter to this type of play.
Yeah, you just say no to it instantaneously. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that we definitely did see the hover from Elk.
We did?
Onto it.
Yeah.
He thought about it. He was like, I don't know how much I'm going to survive right here, but it didn't work into the composition. The Xayah isn't particularly strong at the moment. You've already not got yourself the Rakan, which kind of makes it useful in a lot of situations. It's fine with the Lulu, but it was all of these things kind of sitting against wanting to play the Xayah. The thing that's making you want to play it is, well, I don't like Grey Screen Simulator. Unfortunately, he didn't pick it for the team, and I understand why, but there was nothing that you could do. The one spell shield was not enough to overcome the damage that could come through.
No, he tried it in that bot lane play. He's like, all right, I'm going to throw a spell shield up. It just did not matter. Just unfortunate there for Elk. Let's top player of the game here because, you know, I'll let you start this time. I went first last time. What do you think of Bloxxer? I do have an opinion, though.
There's two options, right? It's JunJia or it's HongQ. Now, do you think it was more about the jungler in this game, or do you think it was more about the mid laner?
That's interesting. I actually think those weren't my two picks. I'm trying to think of the mind of the voters, okay? I'm trying to, like, you know, play to what we saw towards the end of that game. I think it should be JunJia, but I think it might end up being Gala.
It could be. Gala did just sort of sit and allow the game to come to him.
Okay, good.
But with what was happening with the early game, I do think it's very fair to give a lot of credit over to JunJia. The thing is, the reason I bring up HongQ is because this combo doesn't work without him. And yeah, he wasn't the beneficiary of a ton of the kills, but he was providing a lot of the damage. He was hitting the shockwaves consistently. As much as this Nocturne Orianna combo is easy, we have seen a lot of whiffs, even at the highest level of play. He didn't miss a single one. I think it was a good game out of HongQ, but JunJia, he was the star of the show.
All right, well, we sold this matchup as talking about how fun the marksman will be in this one. I think both of them have stepped up, but it is very cool to see that, you know, one of the mainstay veteran junglers of our league for years, Jiejie, has a masterclass game one, and then one of the hopefully upstart, newfound jungle talents coming back to the LPL in JunJia matches him ban for ban in a game 2. Also, deathless performance. This is shaping up for uncharted territory, folks, in our final matchup between JDG Gaming and Weibo Gaming of the regular split. They're going to a game 3 for the first time, and it should really shake up the Group Ascend standings. We'll send you there to game 3 draft after another short break.